Randy, this is your Pignose designed by Dennis Kager for Pignose Industries. Good morning, man. I've corrected the issues with your Pignose G40V. Namely, a lot of loose socket pins on these octals. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But anyway, she's up and running. She's stable. She sounds great. And if it makes you feel better, she took out one of my my preamp tubes as well. So we're even in some strange, ironic way, huh? But I'll go ahead and demonstrate the effect that bypassing a previously unbypassed gain stage can have on volume and hence gain, quality of overdrive, all that stuff. This is a fairly bright amp, as you would expect most Plexi style amps to be, maybe even slash JTM45 from what I'm kind of looking at. And we do have, I got the schematic pulled up, so I'll take you through that in a sec. But here we are. This is the stock tone. Are there clean sounds to be had in this amp? Kinda. So here's a neck single coil. But hit it hard. Got a little bit of hair on it. Gain is on 9 o'clock. Master is halfway up. Now check this out. 25 microfarad. Oh, pardon me. And this, that's my my guitar there. That is not your amp. So let me go ahead and select a second bank of caps here. And I do need to service this unit, actually. This thing's tough to use. There we go. So now we're on the B side of things, which is on the opposite side of the hyphen there. We have 25 microfarads, which is a standard bypass cap value. This is without, and then I'll clip it in on the amp side. Now watch the jump in volume. See that? Let me focus on the amp for a moment. These amps were made in China. Whoop. There we go. And the construction is a bit odd, with a very narrow and long circuit boards, save the filter board, ceramic sockets, and then the board for the control panel. Nice job with getting the cage nuts and everything put in there and restoring the cabinet, man, as usual, you know. You could probably see where's my finger? Whoop. It's very narrow. I mean, you're talking maybe half an inch, 3/4 of an inch strip of PCB material, just running the length of the control panel. And that's basically it. But take a look at this. Let's see. So here we go. Watch this. That's my guitar's volume pot. I'm just grounding it. Now, what effect does that have on gain? Well, it certainly adds a fair bit of saturation. This is adding 25 microfarads is adding a nice broadband lift and gain across pretty much all frequencies. And that's just having stuff open air. Let's see. Check that out. And I'm hanging this off of the input, essentially. So let's find a better place to ground this sucker at. So pretty crazy, huh? Let me do this. So here's gain 50% up. Now, let's clip this guy in. And once again, it will not be this noisy once I have her buttoned up. Certainly juicier. I like it. I like it a lot. So, I like it a lot, but there is something about having a bit of a cleaner edge. See, a cleaner edge to the overdrive. Well, I think I actually kind of prefer it without. It's got enough drive on its own, but I just thought this was a good illustration of the effects that bypassing a previously unbypassed gain stage could have. But yeah, man, it's a really fun amp to play, despite the construction, which I think, and that takes a long time for these things to drain. I've unplugged it already. You could hear KFI in the background. Why does it take so long to drain? Well, because every single filter capacitor on this thing is 100 microfarads. Over-filtered, in my opinion, even the preamp, the first couple of stages, that's over-filtered in my humble opinion. But that's just my humble opinion. Maybe it's not so humble. So I find the amp, again, to be kind of bright. And I'm not going through the in-house speaker. What is that, a 10 inside of the cab? And there's space for, well, there's not space for a 12 because of the cleats. Unless, yeah, you would have to. I wouldn't do that anyway. I think that, I think it'll be a little bit brighter in there, but who cares? Let me see if I could break this thing off. All right, let's get you up here. And, that looks funky through the phone, doesn't it? There she is. Look how funny this is. This is still oriented in the wrong direction. This should be facing the other way. But there you go. That's a little Marshall-y, huh? And a 2.7K with a big fat 220 right there. Just letting all the juicy frequencies in, isn't it? But there you have it. You know, this is your unbypassed cathode right here, cathode resistor. And that was the one I was kind of playing around with. But honestly, I would probably play around with this guy a bit. You have obviously a cathode follower here, driving a tone stack, and then off into your phase inverter. And obviously this is very reminiscent of a lot of classic designs. This is where your bias voltage is derived. Right off of the winding, they rectified on this side and then smooth it out. You have your bridge rectifier here with silicon diodes, and then it's like, dude, you could have saved, yeah, are higher voltage caps more expensive? Sure, but not as expensive as doubling up the amount of capacitors you have, and then adding superfluous resistors here. Superfluous in the sense that they don't need to be here because these caps don't need to be here. You know, you save board space, you save board material. So 500 volts at the time this thing was constructed were readily available. Now we're not getting anywhere near 500 volts on the plates. So, I mean, this is not a tomato situation here. Let's see, decoupling, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, especially over here, I would have, this is a preamp node, right? It was at VE and VD. So, yeah, so we have the preamp running off of VE and VD, I would have run those at, you know, 40 microfarads max. That's just my taste for what I like. And it's more of a dynamics thing. But this is a fun amp. This is certainly a fun amp. And I think it'll serve you well. So there you have it, buddy. I'll tape in some footage of the thing back in its cab.